right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. Get the picture? I'm gonna wave that man right.
All right, so to get the picture, so I could easily do this if I downscale my JBL 4673A's 5 screen down to a 9 screen. Haven't exactly done the measurement. Is it doable? Yes, it's doable. It's extremely complicated because it would be, well, crikey. Probably move away from something maybe like a Dolby DSU for SDU for probably like something like the way the DDSX Neural, well, it's not really a DDS Neural X decodering. It's the same sort of decodering the DDS use for its matrix. Okay, so whether you have a cheap AVR that's got that decodering on it, because Dolby sort of thing has got a kind of still has a kind of typical very mild crosstalk sort of thing, which I've detected. It takes certain listening to point that out, and I haven't pointed it out yet in a video. I might do a video to point that out. The slight difference that could be just about audibly heard, but to do something like a 9 screen, so that well, I'm seeing how all these performers are on screen. There's a performer there, not exactly doing anything or saying anything maybe at the time, and there's other performers there, and see it just happens to line up with that channel there, and these up with that channel there, and something in the background there up with that channel, and maybe something phantoming between, because it's possible. But where it got stereo and stereo and stereo and stereo and stereo and so on and so on and stereo, it's easy for me to just listen and just think, yeah. But as long as a mix has been very complexly done, but has got limited channels for the playback, and depending on the size of the screen and where the size of the speakers are, where they're placed behind the screen, Cinematic, well, used to be real cinemas, not this rubbish Atmos thing today. You see this 9. That goes way over 5 screen. That goes even way over, well, front wide. Well, those speakers are outside of the screen area, so they're not even in the screen area. They're outside of the screen area, so they don't count. Okay, actually, that's sort of my idea, actually, because that's just like putting a decoder on that channel here and the surround. Okay, and then all you do then is activate the ProLogic, and it generates a new channel, because if there's any sound that's mixed into the surround here that phantoms into the channel there, and vice versa on the opposite side, it will come out on the new channel, along with other sounds as well. But you kind of like, it frees the disorientation of the sound that's there, and it's floating in a phantom image, and you think, you stand between it and it's like, oh yeah, but it's a phantom image, because you're hearing it there and hearing it there. But once it's gone through a decodering, it then comes out on a new channel. So it's very easy to daisy network chain a 5 screen and turn it into a hybrid 9 screen. Whether how much fallback it has with problems with AB, it can only do so much, or what, or it would have potential if it were to be done discreetly, and have sound discreet, because a 5 screen, is at its day, I think maybe a 9 screen, but that's not even half of what I'm thinking. So, if sound were performing on screen, so if you can see, if I zoom in a little bit, so if sound was performing on screen, typically screen speakers are around about this height behind the screen. typical. Some, they have other ideas of putting them up there as well. Of course, I've had that idea as well, and down here as well. That is great. That is what should be done. So if this performer down here sounding, the sound should come from that position, location. Well, another sound is up in this position, because that's how we hear things. Even though even though we don't sort of measure that sort of thing, frequency, and and have performers with say dialogue and repeat these lines, and artistic ones that can modulate their dialogue and their voice to more or less the same level, within a few dB tolerance, I guess, and keep doing that over. And while measurements are taken, psychoacoustics, this performer here and that performer, they're about the same height, and this one in the background, so the sound there would have to be made a little bit distant to a certain degree, as well as there as well. Some other performers way back there in the background, and of course with all that screen channeling, right, you got the ocean waves in the background. That would be a sort of distant sort of sound, because the ocean's very large, and that would have a certain flow literally across all the screen channel to, well, what height level? Well, you wouldn't hear ocean sound up there. It's just not possible. It'd be more downward air somewhere, and psychoacoustics have to be done to check. And it's like sound down here with more speaker like down here, and if she happens to move around, whilst her voice will be up there, and any Foley footstep movement will be down at this position, because she'll be moving around, even though the sound will be very subtle and difficult to hear on the sand, with music competition, that is. If it's just pure sound effects, when you go down to a beach and you listen, which you can hear sand, except Anakin Skywalker, he doesn't like sand. I would hear that detail. I don't know why anyone else doesn't notice, but I hear the details. I know the positioning and the angle and all that. I'm pretty clever. So how does it feel being clever? I don't know. I kind of like it. Great. Keep it up. Okay. Question of etiquette. Will I give you the ass or the crutch? Okay, so, and, any bird sounds or such, that would be, if it perched on a tree, or if they're flying through, or a bird happened to come flying down and land down here, it would seagull sound, but that arrangement might look okay. That will only be covering all the complete screen, and depending on how big the screen is, be in the home, you got to work out and then do the math with calculation of the size of the speaker to be used, preferably with a horn, because a horn gives a good radial sound dispersion. And these are JBL controlled 12 SRs, mind you. These are my 12 SRs. Actually, how many of them I've got? I've got, I think, about 11 of them. Or was it 12? I forgot how many I've got. Some of them need repair. But all the HF horns are completely stripped out and modified, so they run on a active crossover. So I could tune it to any frequency, and get them to go just a little bit lower, fractionally. But those are 23, the horns, I think, are 23... 71. 2371. The larger, the size ones that's similar, are 2370A. So yeah, it's the thing with the horns, you see, because the horn is so narrow, okay, and so it'd be like a horn would be up at this height here, and then another horn there, and another horn, and another, because that's where mostly you're going to get directional sound, or where sound could be mixed in and flow and move and and then, okay, where do you put the bass drivers? Well, they got to go somewhere. So the horn would be up here. The bass drivers have got to go back here somewhere. That's not. There have been speaker designs similar to sort of that. So you have to design. So the bass drivers are a little bit further back, okay? And the horns are an array, and they're all clustered. And being bass, being omnidirectional, you've got to work out how to get around certain angles with certain bass frequencies and that. And then it's just a case of, well, let's try it. Let's see how it sounds. Let's mix something on it and play it back, or we'll take something from a classic movie like South Pacific or any other that's got a lot of directional dialogue panning of the older movies, and then try something like Gravity and pass that through a 9-screen matrix, where Gravity only typically in there it goes across the 5-screen discrete. In Dolby Atmos it goes across 5-screen discrete. So it's just like putting another matrix decoder between the left and the left center, and put another decoder between there, and then another. It gets complicated. So yeah, and then you just got to, because as dialogue pans and moves or shifts, it's going to have a phantom somewhere between, and then it's going to appear on a new channel. And then if you discretely mix it, it'll be a totally different thing, and it'll come out a bit more, because sound is very, very subtle with how it moves and moves around. In a movie, sometimes it's a little artificial, but in any case, even if it's done this way, it'd still be at the end of the day artificial. It'd just be a more better hybrid improvement of the approximation. You still can't, there's a lot of things, like the guy walking with a horse and such in the video up there that I've still got playing. I might put South Pacific on. I've only got it on DVD. I might put it on, and I know how it's going to sound with the dialogue pannings and such. I know how it's going to sound with that. Mad Mav World, I got that coming. That'll be arriving, because I don't like streaming service things. I don't like them. They're so slow, and they don't look right. So it'd be interesting to listen to the Mad World, because I listened to it last night in the 6-channel version, how it was playing over the 5-screen, which is absolutely staggering. I mean, that movie's got so much directional dialogue for the, I don't know, is it 3-hour running time, that movie? It's got so much of it going on. A lot more than Gravity, but then Gravity uses it through the surrounds, really overhead, maybe even the below surround. Oh, I'll give that, mate. I might put Gravity on again, give it another listen, see what I can find. But yeah, I haven't played an Atmos movie here now for over a month. So it looks like all the older movies are getting shown again. If they were to remix this sort of thing in Atmos, that they will completely mess it up. I know, because these mixers in the studio, they will completely botch it. And I think so if that's nine speakers there, but that's just a given. Where is it? So that's okay. That's 20. So if it was just those, boom, 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 my room or something, if I could fit all that literally behind a screen, that would be 27 screen channel. Who's ever heard of a 27 screen channel? I certainly haven't. Yeah, wow. That's exactly what I want, because where we move, or where we move, or where I move, I don't particularly care for anyone else, because there are very few and far between people like myself that know. Everyone else, they think, oh, they believe Dolby Atmos and believe all that. Okay, if you want to carry on believing that, I used to, but I woke up. You want to carry on believing it? Fine. Because it'd be the same as someone, if I was sat there and listening to myself, if I could duplicate myself in a clone, my voice now will be slightly up. It's subtle, but it's moved up in a position. And if I move, like, make a sound specifically, because sound could be or random, spontaneous, or do that, I could be able to hear that and think, oh yeah, I can sense this movement going up and down. Like all the footsteps are moving around, I can hear it below me. If I'm doing that, I hear slight, movement. But on a typical Dill mix, oh crikey, oh it's dreadful. People walking around, they sound like they got their shoe stuck in their mouth. It's diabolical with this day and age, absolute diabolical. Atmos, lifelike bull. I tell you, it's utter bullshit marketing that I've ever heard in 35 years. That's the best they can come up with, really. I tell you, if Dolby Labs had a brain, they'd be dangerous. Oh dear. But I mean, you could take an Atmos encoder or decoder, I guess, and you could probably look at it and think, I wonder if I can modify this. If someone can modify and then do a mix, that would, because all these re-recording mixers out there, they're still mixing with their hands tied behind their back. And I'm sat here, I'm thinking, that was a complete wokey movie, absolute woke. Would I think this classic is a woke? No. That is the tools that they had to mix with back then. And what they had back then, pretty impressive. To how it is today, it is woke. You get all this Marvel garbage, Star Wars, Disney rubbish, all the dialogues in the Center Channel all the time. Crying out loud. Rarely does it move. And then you got all these X-Wings, they move all that around, but voices, what? They are absolutely taking the piss out of the sound laws of physics. Taking the piss. Oh, if I were to take a piss, okay, it goes onto the floor. I hear it down on the floor. It depends, if I get an erection, and, it pisses upward, doesn't it? And then it comes back down because of the laws of physics. Water. When it rains, it lands on multitude of surface objects. Multitudes. And then you want to count how many raindrops and how many microphones you're going to need. Anyway. Anyway. That's it. That's just the way it is. It's, Anyway, I'm a bit more concerned about the water they're washing their hair in. I hope they're not using it for a toilet out on that little beach place where they are at, because I'll be a bit concerned. Oh, you never know. Actually, it looks kind of a nice little place on that island, this location. It looks kind of cool. I'm surprised there isn't anything like that along Bournemouth Beach with the palm trees and everything. you know, and then put some lighting on it at night time, and then wow, you got something that looks really cool. You know, it draws it draws in the crowd. You know, there's something that looks almost like that. It's got a bit of palm treeing around it. It looks kind of, you know, but they could turn down the bloody music a little bit, can't they? Because it's a little bit too damn loud when I go there sometimes, and it's like, yeah, you know, it's not as if we're hard of hearing. They could just make it a bit ambient-ish, you know, so you don't get too much of the sound, right? Because when you're trying to speak with dialogue and you're trying to say, I like a Coke and ice, a lemon cake, please, you know, I don't want to have other people struggling to strain to hear what I'm saying, vice versa as well. Because it sounds like being in a bloody movie mix, and you got blaring bloody Hans Zimmer fucking music, this fucking high, and you got dialogue down here, and it's like, what? What did you say? Get the picture? Da 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 da. I gotta wash that man out of my hair. I gotta wash that man out of my hair and send him on his way. Da 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 da. Get the picture?